Are you lost, little one? Or are you just waiting for someone to notice you? He said it gently, crouching down to the level of the small girl sitting on the floor beside the fountain in the center of Harwick Mall, her knees pulled up, her face doing the specific, complicated work of a 4-year-old trying very hard not to cry and losing the argument with herself by degrees. She had a patent leather shoe on one foot. The other foot was in a white sock. Somewhere between the elevator and here, a shoe had been lost, and this appeared to be the full weight of the current situation. Her name, he would learn, was Blythe. His name was Orrin Sable, 33 years old. He pushed a maintenance cart through Harwick Mall 6 days a week, arriving before the stores opened, staying through the early afternoon. He was good at his work, in the way that people are good at things they have done long enough to stop thinking about. Efficient, quiet, thorough. He noticed things, spills before they became hazards, lights before they burned out, and children sitting alone beside fountains, one shoe on, trying not to cry. He set the brake on his cart. He crouched down. Blythe looked at him with the assessing directness of a 4-year-old who has not yet learned to filter first impressions through social calculation. She found whatever she was looking for. Her chin stopped trembling quite so much. "I lost my shoe," she said. The gravity with which she said this suggested the shoe was not the whole problem, but was currently serving as the official representative of everything else. "Okay," Orrin said. "What does it look like?" "Black, shiny, it has a little bow." She paused. "Nana was supposed to meet me at the fountain, but she's not here yet, and I don't know where the shoe went." "Let's find it," he said simply. Not "don't worry" or "you'll be fine," just the practical, respectful response of someone taking a 4-year-old's problem seriously. He stood and held out his hand. She took it without hesitation, which told him something about her, and also something about her sense of people. They found the shoe near the elevator. It had slipped off on the tile and been kicked against the baseboard. Orrin retrieved it and crouched down again, and Blythe held his shoulder for balance while he fitted it back onto her foot and fastened the small buckle with the careful attention of someone for whom this task was genuinely important. "There," he said. Blythe looked at her feet. Both shoes. Order restored. She exhaled with the completeness of someone whose world has been righted. "Thank you," she said. Then, because she was 4, and 4-year-olds operate on honest instinct, "You're nice. My mom says you can tell if someone is nice by whether they crouch down to talk to you or stay standing up." Orrin looked at her for a moment. "Your mom sounds smart," he said. "She is," Blythe said simply. "She's very busy, though." Her mother's name was Cassidy Wren, 30 years old, founder and CEO of Wren Logistics, a supply chain company she had built from a regional operation into a national firm over 6 years of work that had required, at various points, everything she had. She was currently 40,000 feet above the Midwest in a chartered aircraft, in a window seat, on a video call that was supposed to have ended an hour ago, watching a live feed on her secondary phone that her stomach had not unclenched from since it began. The feed was from Blythe's nanny cam watch, a precaution Cassidy had implemented after a scare at an airport 2 years ago. Blythe's grandmother, Loretta, had been delayed by a parking situation. Blythe had wandered to the fountain as instructed, and a man in a gray uniform appeared, crouched down, and spent 11 minutes helping her find a shoe and waiting with her until Loretta arrived, talking to her the entire time in the calm, unhurried way of someone with nowhere more important to be. Cassidy watched every second of it. She watched him crouch. She watched him hold out his hand. She watched him fasten the buckle with 2 careful hands and stay crouched afterward so Blythe didn't have to look up while she thanked him. She watched her daughter take his hand without a second's hesitation and understood in that instant what her daughter had recognized before she did. She ended the business call 4 minutes early, which she never did, and asked her assistant to find out who he was. Orrin didn't know any of this. He walked Blythe back to the fountain, waited the 4 minutes until a flustered older woman arrived, apologizing breathlessly, confirmed the child was safely delivered, and went back to his cart. He released the brake. He continued his route.
It was 11:20 on a Wednesday, and the food court needed attention.
He thought about the little girl for the rest of his shift, the way you think about moments that were small and right, not dramatically, just with a quiet warmth, the kind that stays in your chest without demanding anything. He had a daughter of his own. She was 7 now, living with her grandmother in Ohio while Orrin sorted out a custody arrangement that was moving through the courts with the pace that such things always moved. He sent money every week, called every night, and drove the 6 hours twice a month. He was not separated from her by choice or indifference, but by circumstance, the specific, grinding circumstance of a legal process that had no interest in how much a father missed his child. He didn't talk about it at work. He just did his shift, did it well, and carried the rest quietly. 3 days later, his supervisor called him into the mall management office and told him, with visible uncertainty about how to frame it, that the CEO of Wren Logistics had reached out through the mall's corporate contact, requesting to speak with a member of the facilities team named Orrin Sable. Orrin sat with this information for a moment. "The little girl with one shoe," he said finally. It wasn't a question. "Apparently her mother saw the whole thing," his supervisor said. The meeting happened on a Friday morning in a conference room the mall reserved for corporate tenants. Cassidy Wren arrived without an assistant, which Orrin noted. She was 30 years old, composed in the way of people who have learned composure through necessity rather than nature, and she looked at him across the table with an expression that was direct without being transactional. "Blythe told me you crouched down," she said without preamble. "It's easier to talk to someone your own height," he said. She was quiet for a moment. "She also told me you found her shoe and you didn't make her feel bad for losing it." "She didn't lose it on purpose," he said simply. Cassidy looked at him steadily. "Mr. Sable, I watched 11 minutes of video and cried for about 7 of them. Not because anything dramatic happened, because nothing dramatic happened, and that was exactly what she needed." A pause. "My company has a community outreach division. We partner with workforce development programs. I'd like to offer you a position as a community liaison coordinator if you're interested. It's people-facing work. It pays substantially better, and I think you'd be good at it." She paused. "I want to be clear, this is a professional assessment, not charity." Orrin looked at the table, then at her. He thought about Ohio, about the custody arrangement, about what substantially better meant in practical terms, in hours, in distance, in the mathematics of being able to show up more. "I'd need to understand the role properly," he said carefully, "before I say yes to anything." "That's the right answer," she said, and something in her expression, for the first time, loosened into something warmer than professional. "Blythe told me you told her I sounded smart. You do. She's 4, and she's already paying attention to how people treat her. That comes from somewhere." Cassidy looked at her hands for a moment, then back at him. "She doesn't get enough of me," she said. The honesty of it was quiet and complete. "I'm working on that."
"I understand that particular problem," he said, and the way he said it, with no judgment, just recognition, made her look at him differently, as one parent acknowledging another across the complicated distance between intention and presence. They talked for an hour. He asked good questions. She gave honest answers. By the end of it, nothing had been signed, and everything real had already been decided. Some moments find you in a mall corridor with a maintenance cart and a child with one shoe. And if you simply stop and crouch down, you discover that the whole world is made of people waiting for someone to notice them. Crouch down. Get to their level. Give the moment your full attention. That is not a small thing. That is everything. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.